What is up everyone, Hero276 here and welcome to today's video and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be featuring something a little bit different than what I usually do on my channel. Usually, I like to create more spicier content for you guys, but I'm actually going to showcase a team that helped me climb over 400 elo. I started this team a couple of days ago at about 2018 elo, and now I have 2436 elo, and it's all thanks to this team. The team consists of a Skarmory lead with a Whiscash and a Swampert in the back, so functioning sort of that ABB style that I love so much, and this team has a lot of success. In the first 2 days of running this team, I had a 23-12 record, and the team continues to just rack up wins. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it's a little bit different of a pace than what I usually run on my channel, but that said, I hope you guys enjoy. But before we dive into the battles, I just want to give a special shout out to my Spotify page. If you're enjoying the music used in this video and other videos, please consider listening to my Spotify. You can buy my albums there for just $4.99, or you can just follow me on the page for free if you don't want to spend the money. And you'll still be able to get access to all my music. Really helps out the channel, so I would really appreciate if you go check that out. But let's dive right into it. And we are starting today's video off with the lead Skarmory into Hisuian Electrode. This is not a great lead for us, and in fact, Hisuian Electrode core breaks this entire team. Gonna switch into the Whiscash here because I know I can win this matchup if my opponent decides to play out the twos. So I'm gonna go for the Mud Bomb here. My opponent makes it to the Energy Ball, and from here I'm just gonna shield it up as I do lose the CMP tie. Gonna go for another Mud Bomb here. My opponent will shield that one up, recognizing there is value in the Hisuian Electrode. Opponent's gonna throw another charge move. This is enough for the Energy Ball, so I'm forced to respect it. The opponent gets both of my shields and then sends in Vigoroth. Gonna go for the Scald. Scald does come with a chance to debuff my opponent's attack, and once I do get that attack drop, I do switch out and send in Skarmory. Skarmory here is able to absorb these debuffed Rock Slides pretty well. My opponent is going to get off another Rock Slide, but like I said, this is debuffed and it doesn't do a ton of damage. I'm going to leave with a ton of energy here to threaten the Electrode if they decide to send it back in. My opponent is going to wait their clock. They send in their final Pokemon, and it's Mantine, so it's not looking too great here. Gonna go for the Sky Attack bait. My opponent shields it up. They send back at the Electrode. I am able to get off a Sky Attack. Sky Attack will deny the energy from that Hisuian Electrode, but they still got the Mantine in the back with the shield. My Skarmory is starting to get low, and I have two Mud Boys in the back. My Brave Bird is shielded, but this Mantine is starting to get low thanks to the Steel Wings and that Sky Attack that I landed earlier. So hopefully, my Mud Boys can do the impossible and take out a Water Flying type. The opponent goes for the Water Pulse. It's not enough to KO, and they can't farm down either, so they're forced to expend energy. And this should be Hydro Cannon range here for the Swampert. I'm going to bring it in. Swampert is able to get to the Hydro Cannon. This will take out the Mantine from this health range. We're able to play around the Hisuian Electrode and take the win. Hopping into game number 2, and we see a bad lead Skarmory into Talonflame. What I'm going to look to do is immediately pivot into my Whiscash. Whiscash able to get a head start on energy for whatever comes in, and they have their own Whiscash. Now, Whiscash here can potentially win this if we get the debuff, and we're able to get it. From here, I do not need to invest any shields. This is a Scald, but it's debuffed. Scald will not be enough to two-shot from this health range. I'm going to overfarm and then go for my own Scald. Now, I'm not debuffed, so this Scald will come very close to KOing. The opponent knows that, and they no shield. They're able to get off another Scald, but this will not KO, and I should be able to get the farm down and leave with a Scald for that Talonflame. Back in comes the Talonflame. I'm going to go for a Mud Bomb bait here. I'm hoping I can make it to a second Scald. Opponent commits the shield. I do not get the Scald off. That's very unfortunate, but I send in the Swampert, and this is really good. I have a shield advantage thanks to the shield bait from the Mud Bomb. I do unfortunately shield a Flame Charge bait, but I'm going to go for the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is going to be shielded by my opponent. They're going to farm up. They're able to make it to another charge move. This is boosted, so I will be shielding it up. It's the Fly. Opponent pivots out of the matchup into their own Skarmory. and they're ahead on energy here, so what I need to do is I need to let their Skarmory KO mine and put them in a range where they can be Mudshot farmed down without having to take a move on the Swampert. Gonna go for the Sky Attack here. Sky Attack not gonna be doing a lot of damage. Skarmory is very bulky and has that resistance. The opponent makes it to another charge move. They end up going for the Sky Attack, realizing my condition here. And what I'm going to look to do is I'm going to throw the Sky Attack, get them very low, and now I need to hope they don't go for a farm down. But they do decide to go for the farm down. I'm forced to switch into the Swampert to deny their energy. Hydro Cannon is going to KO. Back in comes the Talonflame. They make it to a charge move. Is this fly range for the Swampert? Fly does not KO. I farm up 2 and get off the Hydro Cannon before the Incinerate can register. And that's a very close win. Hopping into game number 3, picking up another bad lead, Skarmory into Steelix. Everything is resisted, and Steelix has access to the neutral crunch. So I switch in Whiscash, and I see an Altaria, and this is worst case scenario. Hard countered on the lead and the switch. I go for the Scald. Scald gets the debuff, which is quite nice. This means my opponent is forced to expend energy. Because their Dragon Breaths would be doing less damage, they wouldn't be able to get the farm down. So I'm going to overfarm quite significantly and get off another Scald. This is so that way in case I get another attack drop, their Dragon Breaths would actually be doing more damage, and I'm able to get off a third Scald as well. So Whiscash, even though it's fully walled in this matchup, can still put in work and make this somewhat uncomfortable for the Altaria. As you can see, I barely miss out on a charge move there. My opponent switches out of the matchup, and I make a horrible misplay. I send in the Swampert. I needed to save the Swampert for the Steelix, and because of this misplay, this game is essentially over. I can fire off as many Hydro Cannons as I want, but they have shields to hide behind, and these counters are really going to add up. So I basically just lost this game. I showed up the Body Slam, gonna get off the Earthquake, hoping to sneak it by my opponent. Is Earthquake enough to KO? It is not, and Vigoroth makes it to another charge move, and yeah, this one is over. Swampert gets too low. I send in Skarmory, but they have the Steelix with a shield, and I surrender the match. Looking to get back on the right track, leading into the Skarmory Mirror. I switch into the Whiscash, looking to bait out any potential grass types, and I do bait out the grass type. They send in Cradily. Cradily, not going to like the Scald damage too much. They get the attack debuff as well. They're forced to expend energy, as I would have been able to make it to another Scald and potentially threaten a shield or a knockout. So unfortunately, down goes the Whiscash, but I have the Skarmory, and what I'm going to look to do is wait my clock and get a full Steel Wing farm down. Skarmory can comfortably absorb 2 Rock Slides thanks to the debuff, as well the Bullet Seeds do absolutely nothing. They make it to a second Rock Slide, but I can survive this no problem and commit to the full Steel Wing farm down, leaving with a ton of energy on the Skarmory. Opponent is going to send back in their own Skarmory. I'm going to get off my Brave Bird. I do have a lot of energy on my own Skarmory. Brave Bird's able to land, and I'm going to go for another Brave Bird, this time winning a CMP tie. And from here, I think what I'm going to look to do is just trust Swampert with 2 shields to KO whatever is in the back. My opponent is going to go for the Sky Attack. That's going to KO. Can Swampert get the Mudshot farm down? It looks like I'm not going to be able to get it, so I do fire off the Hydro Cannon after a slight overfarm. Opponent lets that go through. They have Golurk in the back, and Swampert is in business. Gonna go for the Hydro Cannon. The opponent lets it through, and we take the win. Hopping into the final game of this set, picking up a lead Skarmory into Talonflame. We've seen this before. How I like to play this one is switch into the Whiscash, opponent stays in for a little bit longer, and then they finally send in an Altaria. Once again, we've seen this before. We know how it plays out. This time, however, I do not get the attack drop, and that's honestly okay by me. I don't really care whether or not I get attack drops. I lose the matchup either way. I just want to do as much damage to the Altaria as possible, so that way my Swampert doesn't have to see it. They're going to get off the Sky Attack. That is going to KO because I did not get any debuffs. I send in Skarmory, and Skarmory's going to be able to absorb this energy very nicely. I'm not really concerned about the health of my Skarmory since there is a Talonflame waiting for it in the back, so I'm going to look for the full Steel Wing farm down, and I'm able to get it. As soon as the Talonflame comes back in, I do need to throw this Brave Bird to get a shield advantage for the Swampert. So in comes the Brave Bird, they do shield it up, I send in Swampert and I end up catching. This is the Flame Charge, they wouldn't go for a fly onto the Skarmory, so I am able to comfortably no-shield that. My opponent's final Pokemon is a Quagsire, and thanks to both the shield advantage and the energy head start, this is very playable. I do need to prioritize the health on my Swampert as it is the win condition. I shield up, it is the Mud Bomb, and that means I'm going to be able to overfarm by 4 since they are on their 4 cycle, play to a CMP tie, get off the Hydro Cannon, and pick up the knockout. And from here, I should just be in a winning position. I have a lot of energy, a shield to hide behind, and the Talonflame is not going to be able to get off enough charge moves to KO the Swampert. All I need to do is shield, and I should be able to get to a second Hydro Cannon before they get to their next charge move. Hydro Cannon is going to KO the Talonflame, and we take the win. So as you can see in that set, we went 4-1, but don't go anywhere after we collect our rewards. We are going to have a couple of bonus battles for you guys. I have 3 of them, so stay tuned for that. Hopping into the first of 3 bonus battles, picking up a lead Skarmory into Vigoroth. What I like to do in this matchup is wait until they get to the Rock Slide, switch in one of my Mud Boys, and catch it just like that. So Whiscash is going to be able to absorb this resisted Rock Slide very well. The opponent is going to send in a Abomasnow, and I absolutely had to lure this out. This is not a winning matchup for the Whiscash, so I'm going to go for the Scald, look for a potential debuff so they can't farm down, and that's exactly what I get. Abomasnow is forced to go for the Energy Ball in this matchup. Either Icy Wind or Weather Ball would not pick up the knockout, and they wouldn't be able to farm down thanks to the debuff, so I make it very uncomfortable for them. I send in Skarmory, and Skarmory can survive this debuffed energy quite well. So I'm just going to do as I did before and go for a complete Steel Wing farm down. Abomasnow doesn't get off another charge move, and that's really good. We see the Vigoroth re-enter the field, and I'm immediately going to start unloading my energy. I go for the Sky Attack. Opponent is able to survive that, and I'm able to get off another Sky Attack. The opponent is going to let this through, and they're going to trust in whatever's in the back. It's Altaria. This is absolute worst case scenario. If it were Shadow Dragonite, I'd be able to 2-shot very comfortably with Hydro Cannons, but because it's Altaria, Altaria's super bulky, and as well, Swampert doesn't handle fast move pressure very well, so this is a really bad spot. At the very least, I am able to bank a Sky Attack onto the Skarmory for later, and I'm also able to force a shield from the Altaria. I'm just going to go for Hydro Cannon after Hydro Cannon. The opponent is choosing to let those go through. Gonna get off this second Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon starts to get the Altaria quite low. They are forced to throw their energy because I'm very close to another Hydro Cannon, but I absolutely need the shield from my opponent, so I'm going to go ahead and throw the next Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon grabs the shield, I send in Skarmory, we have the charge move ready to go. This Brave Bird will KO the Altaria, and we take the win. Hopping into bonus battle number 2, picking up a great lead Skarmory into Toxapex. I do have 2 Mud Boys in the back, so I'm going to safe switch into the Whiscash. My opponent responds with a Abomasnow, and I absolutely had to bait this out. So if we've baited out their only grass type, then we're actually in a really good spot already. The opponent is going to no-shield the Scald. I am going to let this Whiscash go down. Opponent will full send the Energy Ball, but like before, I'm going to send in the Skarmory and look for a Steel Wing farm down. In comes the Skarmory. Skarmory can comfortably survive 2 charge moves from this health range, and I'm not too concerned about the health of Skarmory because I still have a Swampert in the back to take care of the Toxapex. I just need to make sure that Swampert can also beat their third. They send in their third, it's Vigoroth, and with an energy head start, I should be able to either force a bunch of shields or get this Vigoroth quite low. There's the first shield with the Sky Attack. Opponent is going to throw their energy here, and I don't quite think this is Body Slam range. I let it through, it is the Body Slam, and I'm able to get off the Brave Bird. This is very good. Opponent shields that one up as well, and I could just send in the Swampert, and there's nothing my opponent can do. I have 2 shields to hide behind, so no matter how many Body Slams Vigoroth is going to get off, I could just shield them up. Opponent tries to catch the Hydro Cannon onto Toxapex, and this just cements the win. I'm going to be able to connect here with the Earthquake, and while Earthquake will not KO, it will set us up for the game-winning Mudshot farm down. Opponent is going to make it to a charge move. Brine will not do a lot of damage. They end up going for the BM Sludge Wave, recognizing it's over. And from here, I just have this game won as Earthquake is going to KO the Vigoroth, and we take the win. Hopping into the last battle of the video, picking up Elite Skarmory into Dragonite. This is definitely where I want to see the Dragonite, and they're staying in this matchup. They're probably threatened by the Skarmory somewhere else in the back. They're going to go for the back-to-back superpowers, so you know what? I'm just going to get off this Sky Attack now that I have it. Opponent is going to shield it up, and now here, my opponent is at the back-to-back superpowers. I decide to shield up. It is the superpower. The opponent switches into Toxapex, and I send in Whiscash. This is a very dominant matchup for the Whiscash. Gonna go for the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb's gonna do a lot of damage, and from here, my opponent surrenders, and it is game, set, and match. Overall, this is probably one of my most successful teams of all time. Like I said at the start of the video, I started this team a couple of days ago. I sat at 2018 ELO when I started, and now I have 2436 ELO. So this is a great team to use, and honestly, I had a lot of fun running it. Like I said, it's a little bit more meta than what you're used to seeing here on the channel, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.